Well, hey, welcome to near the end of February, everybody. Alice and I have been traveling a ton, and we finally got back here to report back in on a couple of conversations that we've had recently with some entrepreneurial couples. Honey, a lot of travel. How are you doing? I feel like you've gotten a little. You're done. You're done with the travel. Right?
I'm done with the travel. I'm a little crispy, not gonna lie. It's a little more travel than I enjoy, but it was all
Yeah.
good.
When we finally figured the word crispy out, it felt like a way to describe Alice the way I wanted to without totally getting destroyed in the process. So you do seem a little crispy, but I do love you still. And I'm sorry that you're crispy. So we've been interviewing these entrepreneurial couples, and by the way, for those that don't know, we've started doing a whole bunch of Zoom calls. If you're an entrepreneurial couple that works together and lives together, your life partners and business partners, we want to have a conversation with you. We've also started hosting entrepreneurial couples in our home. We've got one coming up in March, and if you're like, that is us, and we would love to have a supportive community, we would love to have you be part of that conversation. So reach out to us. Alice, we're having a conversation, I guess, over the past week or so with an entrepreneurial couple that has really been going through it. And they just talked about like the need for community of going through, some really, really dark seasons. And they referenced this, they referenced these two images that we had brought up on a call, and I'll show it here just so people see it. But here's sort of how it started, right? It was like, hey, we've been this entrepreneurial couple, and at seasons of our life we can see really far, and right now life feels a little bit more like let me back up one more, like this image. Can you just share a little bit, like give a little bit of context without giving too many details, but what was this couple going through, and what do you want to share that way?
Yeah, well, when you're a couple and you're working together, like you're just usually running at 100 miles an hour. And sometimes life just shows up and brings it to a screeching halt. And that's what happened with this couple. It was a medical issue and just brought them to a screeching halt. And, one minute you feel like you're at the top of the mountain, and another day you feel like this picture right here, where it feels like, we're in the valley. We can't see very far. Feels kind of, it feels dark.
Yeah. What we realize is, like, this is a question that we ask each other on a regular basis, and we found that when we're in community, really with everybody, right? This is not unique to couples, but there is a special place that when entrepreneurial couples are going through life can really feel like this picture in the upper left, and it can feel like pictures in the bottom right. And it's interesting, if you're watching this right now, especially if you are a couple that works together, like, where do you feel like you are right now? Because when we last saw this couple in person, I would have said they maybe felt like they were in the upper left, right? It's like they could see a long ways. The sun was shining. Everything felt really, really great. And the difference between a peak and a valley is you can't see very far in front of you. It's like if you've ever driven through really heavy fog, you got to slow down, and you are taking it just a little bit at a time. The headlights do not go very far into the fog. And there are seasons inside of our marriage and inside of our business that it just feels like, I don't know what to do other than to take one step ahead. Else we've been here. Well, go ahead.
Well, and looking at, the peak, this on the top left, standing at that peak, like you just get so excited. Like you're on this high of like, can't wait to get to that next peak. You see all of these other peaks that are yet to be explored. And yet the next step that couple takes that's already on a peak, where do they have to go? Like they have to go down into the valley to go get to another peak. So it's this idea of like, you don't just jump from one peak to the next. Most of the journey together is actually in the valley.
Yeah. It's you are guaranteed if you're in that upper left and you're like, we feel like we're at a good spot right now. Maybe you're feeling like you're crushing it as parents, you're doing great with your kids, or you're feeling great with your business or with your finances. And from that place, from that high place, you can see the next peak. That's a little bit about what goal setting feels like, right? It's what can we see from here? And oh my gosh, we can see this next thing that's possible. And if you're like us, to get to that next peak, it is going to take this descent downward into the valley, and there's going to be a season in the midst of it that the world feels like the view on the left, and it's dark. It's dark. The visibility is low, and it's like the question is, when you're in a season like this as a couple, what do you remember? What do you focus on that helps keep you aligned as a couple in the midst of it? And we've had, I guess, we've had our series of medical issues as a family. Those can tear a couple apart. Those can tear a family apart. I mean, Alice, when you think about it, like, what does it felt like to go through that as a couple together?
Hard, scary, very lonely. Because when you work together and you're doing life together, it's almost like it's hard to talk about when things are bad, especially when you're in a referral-based business.
Yeah.
Because then you feel like, oh, well, people just want you to, like, oh, well, take time to rest, take time to take care of yourselves. And it's like, wait, but I still got to pay the bills. So there's this, like, how do you balance all of that when it's like, yeah, I want to be real and authentic, and at the same time, like, no, please don't stop sending business our way, because that is going to help fund all of these things too. So it can be a very lonely place. And I think another entrepreneurial couple friend said it best, where she said, when you work together and you are doing life together, like, it really is a different way of life. Like, it is a way of life in such a way that only those who do it understand.
Yeah.
It's very hard to understand. I would say impossible to understand from the outside.
Yeah. So I just say, hey, wherever you find yourself today, like, if you as a couple, you look around and you're like, we feel like we're on top of the world. Awesome. We're super excited for you. If you feel like you are, as a couple right now, like you're deep in a valley and you don't know how you got there, and you really don't know the way out, and all you can see is a little bit further along the path ahead of you, you are totally normal too. Every couple has been there, especially in the entrepreneurial journey. Like, we've all been there. And what we found is, like, how do we keep aligned as a couple in the process? Like, that's the key. Those are the questions that we have to keep coming back to, making sure that we don't view each other as the problem. Like, hey, we're in this valley and we're lost, and it's because of you. No, it's because of you. Like, that's a challenge. How do we make sure it doesn't pull us apart, and it actually makes our relationship stronger in the process? So if that's you, hey, reach out. We'd love to have a conversation about what your journey has been like. And if you'd like to join us with some other entrepreneurial couples that have been on this journey and have conversations around it, we'd love to have that conversation with you. Anything else you want to say, Han? I know this is a short stop in here to the social media world. Anything else you want to add?
No, just that we're glad to be alongside all of you on the journey.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Bye.